Okay, I have a question. When is a replica superior to the original? Well, for me, it comes down to the experience behind the wheel. So if we're talking about the experience behind the wheel, I have a replica right here, and it's superior in every single category when you're talking about experience behind the wheel. So what are those categories? Well, for me, they're performance, that's 1. Safety, that's 2. Comfort, that's 3. And reliability, that's 4. And this car is dramatically superior to an original in all 4 of those categories. Why is that? Well, let me tell you what's been built into or blended into the build of what otherwise is a bone stock looking Hertz GT350 replica. Long list here, so I'll just read them for you. Okay, in the first place, it's got a later model 302 motor that in its current configuration has more horsepower, 25 more net horsepower than the Hypo. Okay, it has electronic fuel injection, EFI. It's the Holley Sniper system. Now you've moved into the 21st century. It's like going from a rotary phone that you dial with your fingers to a touch phone, a smartphone. Big change. Okay, third item, it's updated with modern power steering, and it's the Borgson system. Radical change, radical improvement to these cars. Recommend that improvement. Okay, Petronic's electronic ignition. Reliability, again, along with the other 2 items that I've mentioned. It's a 5-speed transmission, so now you've got overdrive capability on the interstate. You're not revving, you're just walking down the interstate at about double idle. 4-wheel disc brakes. Nice safety thing right there. Dual master cylinder, another nice safety thing. Modern air conditioning. Wow, that makes a huge change. It's a comfortable cabin. And we also insulated this entire cabin to make it somewhat quieter and really easier to cool. Okay, modern LED lights. We've got them everywhere you can put them on the car, and it makes it a much safer vehicle. It's easier to be seen by people that are out there. We also put the brightest headlight that you can put on this type car. A subframe connector system. It's got a really nice system from Total Control Products. It just takes any twist out of that body and just makes it handle the power much nicer and a more refined ride. We put a higher flow 3-core radiator in there to make sure that it cools nicely, and it certainly does. All of these additions substantially enhance the experience behind the wheel. Now, it'll never be as exclusive as an original. I get that. I don't have a problem with that. But it's a super cool ride, and it plays off that beautiful, one time in history Hall of Fame car where Hertz teamed up with Shelby and came together to produce this beautiful black and gold car here. So some of you would ask, what does it cost to add those enhancements and upgrades? Okay, so we're not talking about to make it a Hertz. We're just talking about the upgrades I just mentioned, which really I just touched on the highlights. We've done a few other things other than that. Those upgrades alone, if you hire or have that done, you're talking about around $20,000. It's not cheap, but you know, good stuff costs good money. But you haven't thrown that money away. You easily bump the value of the right car. And in this case, of course, this was the right car. This was is a factory Mustang. It was even a factory black car. That's ironic. But it still has its factory VIN, factory door tag, factory body. Really hard to find one that good. So it's one of those that's been updated and converted starting with a really good car. Now, let's go on a test drive and let's experience some of those enhancements. Okay, let's go on a test drive here. We're going to start this video with a cold start. Okay, gas is pumped up there. Nice. First time every time with fuel injection. Also, on this test drive, see if you can see this thermometer. We're going to gauge the temperature that's coming out of the air temperature coming out of our air conditioner. Right now we're approaching 100 degrees here in my hangar. I hope you can see that. But we'll put it in here. Turn the air conditioner on. The mics probably picked that up. You probably can hear that air conditioner, but it really is quiet. It's a modern version or facsimile of the original. It looks very close to the original, but it's much quieter. Much colder. Okay, so we're good to go. Let's go on that test drive. Okay, we'll be on a road here in a second. We can go highway speeds, but the first thing you notice right off the bat, if you're familiar with these 50-plus-year-old Mustangs, when you get behind the wheel of this car, you start it up and you start moving, you instantly recognize it's a much more refined experience for a lot of reasons, but certainly one of them is the sound deadening enhancements that we added to the car. It just doesn't have all this tinny sound telegraphing throughout the cabin. You know, it still is a 50-something-year-old Mustang, but it's dramatically refined and worth all the effort put into it. So we'll go over these railroad tracks at 50 miles per hour, hands off, and you can see just how stable this car is. Railroad tracks, I mean, that's rough, but the car is very, very stable. Very impressive. Okay, here we go, tight U-turn. We'll experience the benefits of the Borgson power steering, which is really one of the best, one of the top 5 upgrades you can make if you want a more refined driving experience in your vintage Mustang and you want power steering. The Borgson power steering is without a doubt the way to go. Okay, so we're going 60 miles per hour and I'm reading 2,400 RPM. It's going to 5th gear here and we just dropped down to, it looks like 1,600 or 1,700 RPM. That's very impressive. You know, overdrive. You're free to get on the interstate and move about the country. So that's the air blowing on high. Cut it down 1 because it's plenty cool. In fact, I mentioned it was 90 degrees in my hangar when we left, probably 100 outside. You got 40 degrees coming out of that air conditioner, and that's cool enough. It's definitely comfortable in the cabin of this car, and in some regions of the country that's critical. It certainly is here in Texas in August. But I'm feeling absolutely no pain. It's very comfortable. Everything works, you know. Horn works at every one of the locations. Blinkers work, wipers work. Everything works. It's a fully functioning car. Headlights work, and look, check out the pictures where we added the LED brake lights. Dramatically enhances the safe driving of this car. Your blinkers are brighter, your brake lights are brighter. We have front blinkers that are LED, much brighter. The backup lights, oh my gosh, they're like headlights. You can actually see the factory backup lights, if they had backup lights, because it was an option on these cars. The factory backup lights weren't much. They helped, but they weren't much. But these LED backup lights are amazing. You're going to see what's behind you when you're backing up. Okay, we'll go through the gears a little bit here. I mean, it pulls strong in every gear. That's 4th, and it's just ripping. Okay, there's overdrive, and you can fly in overdrive. Absolutely fly. It's geared perfectly. Very nice. You know, this is only the second time I've driven this car since we finished the enhancements, but it's just as expected. It's a dramatically enhanced experience behind the wheel. It's what Ford would have built had the technology existed back in 1966, but it exists today. And if you are of the mindset and you've got the funds, time, and talent, this is what you can do with your vintage Mustang. And in my mind, it's the absolute perfect recipe without really, again, substantially disturbing the original DNA the character of the car, which I think is the best approach. I'm not a fan of the radical resto-mods where the cars lose their identity, but that's okay. I know people are. That's their thing. This is my thing. I also like bone stock original, but if you're a hardcore driver and you want to drive real world, on demand, summer, winter, spring, or fall, you know, these are the type of things that you can do to make that possible. Again, you still have a 50-something-year-old Mustang, but compared to other 50-something-year-old Mustangs, it's dramatically enhanced. MyRod.com, it's where you come to get the good cars, guys and gals.